Okay, I'm going to keep continuing on. If I remember anything more about Nelson, I'll do it again. But this is the starting of the next part about Sicamous. But I've repeated some of this on my other one, but I'll say it again. My first trip to Sicamous when we still lived in Nelson, BC. One winter at Christmas time, we took a trip from Nelson to Sicamous via the highway that involves a trip from Needles on the ferry over the Monashee Pass. The roads in the 50s were mostly gravel and very bad. Remember, we started up the pass and it started snowing. The snow got so bad, my dad and mom were getting worried we'd get stranded. In those days, there was no help to be found and you'd probably freeze to death. Dad had to get out in the blowing snow and put the chains on. We made it a ways further. Then we were starting to get stuck in the deep snow. We had to stop going because the going got so bad. Just when we were starting to get really concerned, a snowplow came along and stopped and told us to follow him the rest of the way so we wouldn't freeze to death. Very lucky. My first memory of Sicamous, how small and nice it was, nestled on the channel between Shuswap and Mara Lake. I wrote a song about Sicamous too, and it's on YouTube, but it's the nice version. The funny version I wrote was the joke the guy told me, if you ever go to Sicamous, make sure you take a side of beef. Why? Because they're pretty sick of moose. There you go. They had that little ferry, car ferry, one or two cars went across the channel where the Congreve and the Sepia hotels were. It was a major stop on the railroad. This is in the next part of my Sicamous. I already told you about that. My grandparents lived there. Finlaysons were my relatives. It's in the next installment, but there's another thing. Auntie Vera, I'm going to do a whole section on who influenced me in music, like Uncle Bert. Auntie Vera was the one that influenced me on piano. I was only about 5 years old, but I remember banging out the old stride piano. She would play Down Yonder. You hit a chord on the left hand, and then the small chords would be bum, jump, bum, jump, bum, jump. Down yonder, do. I remember her playing that. I was really thrilled. She played in a dance band and played so long and hard at the dance halls because they didn't have mic'd instruments till her fingers bled. They had a huge house with a piano and lots of secret rooms. The three boys, Neil, Reed, and Lloyd. It was a very exciting house. We loved that house. Then Uncle Monty, Aunt Trixie, and Larry and Valerie lived in Sicamous. They had the store there. I talked about that later. But here's a nice little story. Larry was always getting in trouble. He was fun and wild. He was nice, though. This is the story about Larry. They had a neighbor who had a rooster that they used to make the heck of a racket all the time, and Larry hated that rooster for waking him up in the morning. So one morning, Larry was up doing the breakfast dishes, and the rooster started crowing. Larry got so mad he picked up a butcher knife and threw it through the open window to scare the rooster. Larry always got in trouble. He got a lucky throw, and the butcher knife went flying through the air, cut the head off the rooster. The neighbor came over furious, carrying the bleeding head and body of the dead bird. Good old Larry. He later went on to become a highway patrol officer in Eugene, Oregon, Washington State. Anyway, I'm going to stop now. I think that's all about until I get more of my Sicamous story. So that's another installment.